Welcome on behalf of Chef Network and Partners Musgrave MarketPlace to our webinar this afternoon. Thanks a million for joining us. My name is Reid Hegarty, and I'm delighted to be presenting this webinar this afternoon, where we will hear from some people in industry on how they have adapted and readapted their businesses in response to the ever-changing landscape that is the COVID-19 crisis. We'll look at what they've done during the different restriction levels, what has worked, and some things maybe that haven't worked as well. Then later on in the session, we'll look ahead to Christmas and explore what a reimagined Christmas might look like, what the offering might be. So much uncertainty still around. We'll talk about what people are trying to plan and what some of the opportunities might be over in the run-up to Christmas and over the Christmas period. So our webinar today is going to last 1 hour. We're going to start off with a catch-up with 3 of the panelists from our Taking on Takeaway webinar that we ran with Musgrave back in May. So we're going to hear from Kevin Aherne from the Chop House in Dublin 4, from Johnny Conlon from Pudding Row in Sligo, and from Fergus O'Halloran at the 12 in Galway, who are all standing by to speak to us. We're going to hear about how they've been adapting since May and how things have been going for them. And then in the next section, we will meet Seaneen Sullivan, who's co-proprietor and chef at El Mulligan Grocer in Stoneybatter in Dublin, and Kevin Aherne, who is chef proprietor of Sage in Midleton in Cork. And you might not be able to see Kevin. He's probably going to be talking to us through the phone rather than on the webinar, so you might not be able to see Kevin's face, unfortunately. And then our final section, as I said, we're going to look at Christmas. So we're going to kick that off with a short presentation from Michael Flynn and Clement Pavie in Musgrave MarketPlace about some of the key dates and some of the key kind of opportunities and moments over in the run-up to Christmas and over the Christmas period to give some inspiration on how to maybe leverage the opportunities. And then we're going to bring back in Kevin and Seaneen with Clement, and we're going to bring Fergus back in for the hotel perspective for a brief panel discussion on planning a reimagined Christmas season. And we'll take some questions at the end of our discussion with Seaneen and Kevin, and again at the end after the panel discussion on Christmas. So please feel free to send your questions into the Q&A throughout. We may not have much time or may not have any time for questions in the first section on our check-in with our previous panelists, but if we can fit in 1 or 2 questions, if they're coming in, we'll try. If you've got a question specifically for Kevin Aherne, Johnny Conlon or Fergus, do feel free to send it in and we'll come to it if I can. To send in questions, you need to go to the Q&A panel. So if you should be able to see a little orange arrow. It's on the right of my screen, but it could be on the right or left of your screen. But if you click on that, you should see drop-down options, and there's a drop-down for Q&A, so you can type your questions in there. And if you've got any issues, there is a chat function there. So if you need to ask an admin a question, please feel free to put it in there. Rebecca Dunwoody is there in the background to assist on that. And we will be recording the webinar, and we will send that recording out to all the participants afterwards. So I suppose before we kind of kick off, I do think it's important to acknowledge the pain and trauma even that our industry is going through. I think, if nothing else, we probably thought at this stage that we were going to have a bit more certainty, but things are still so unclear, and people are trying to make plans with no clear plan, with a lot of unpredictability and very little guidance on where things are going. And we know that not everyone has been able to adapt, and many people are out of work, and some businesses won't survive this. I suppose in today's discussion, we are looking at some of the avenues to keep business going, but we do acknowledge that it won't be possible for everyone. We're trying to stay positive and proactive, but we do recognise the immense challenges that businesses are facing. So I suppose we're certainly not claiming that any of this is easy, and I think that all the panelists that are participating today are at pains to say that they don't have all the answers, and what they're doing won't work for everyone. But there are lots of nuggets of wisdom, I think, in today's conversation, and everyone will be able to take something away from it, I hope. What we do really appreciate is the willingness of these panelists to come and share their experiences and their advice. And in speaking to them all in advance and speaking to other people in the industry, I think that's what's come across throughout this crisis is the camaraderie in the industry, and how that camaraderie has grown through the crisis period. Operators have willingly shared their insights with each other, and I think everyone who's participating today and more widely in the industry, what they're doing has come through a lot of conversations, a lot of soul searching, but also a lot of conversations with colleagues in the industry and a lot of learning. So I think that kind of mutual support is something that has kept a lot of people going through this period, and this webinar is an extension of that. So on behalf of Chef Network and Musgrave MarketPlace, we're delighted to be able to present this, but also to bring these people from the industry together to share their insights. So first of all, we're going to start with our check-in with our takeaway panelists from earlier in the year. And I'm going to go first to Dublin 4 to the Chop House and Kevin Aherne. So Kevin, you can join us.
Morning, Ruth. Or afternoon now.
Hi. Yes, how are you?
Strange world. Strange world, you know. Yeah, we got a little light. Easier. No, the light. In the first lockdown, we all kind of felt when we sat here last May, you know, we're gonna do this right. This one I feel is much tougher because we've gone backwards again. So it's a lot more mentally strengthening on all our colleagues in the business. And then the uncertainty about Christmas. I mean, level 3, we've been outdoor area, we kept the takeaway going, but we stopped again and going back just to takeaways, it's really tough, you know. And level 5 is with us for a while. Do we get Christmas? We don't know. What we found is we added a couple of new things. We do the cook at home kits. So what we pushed on that is you can buy it for your friends and have a lovely dinner at home with your friends but apart. So you get your instruction sheets with the recipe ingredients, how to cook the dish. You go on your Zoom call with your pals in their house, same time. I'm doing one on the 1st of December for 25 houses. So that'll be quite good. You know, how they're going to do 25 houses, I don't know. But that's the gentleman wants to do for 25 couples around Dublin. So that's kind of been good. We've opened our diary for Christmas with my small little terrace, which seats 15/16. So at least I can get back some staff, hopefully, if we get opened on the 1st of December. We found as well, we were doing 7 days a week takeaway, Monday to Sunday, but Monday to Wednesday is really not very good. So we're just doing Thursday to Sunday now, going all the way. What we've learned is you got to tell people you're out there, and people want you to survive. So I was talking to a very, very well-renowned restaurateur 2 weeks ago, and I said to him, put on kits of your best dishes for your customers to buy. And he went, really? And it's not something he's never done. And he put it on 2 weeks ago on social media. Resounding success. He was delighted because people want their favorite restaurant, bars, hotels reopen again. So you've got to try and let them help you a little bit if you can, you know. That's kind of what we try and do. The menu, we chop and change as we get stuff in. But the market presence is very important. Social media. I knew nothing about Instagram 6 months ago or 7 months ago. I'm not sure how many months ago now. And now it's all about the gram for us. People want interesting content, see what we're doing, and they interact. So takeaways here to stay, I think forever. We're still doing our 5-minute slot, untouchable. So you put your booking on collect, you get your time for 7 o'clock. We leave your bags outside the porch, no one else is there. So it's very safe, and that's all we can do. But I have 25 staff and I've got 23 of them gone now until December. So I don't know how that feels, but it's kind of a distressing time. So we've circled the wagons really on ourselves, and we stuck together, and some of them are coming back 3rd week of November to get set up for hopefully a good December, January with our small little area. And that's all we can do. You know what I'm saying, Ruth?
And Kevin, Yeah, are most of your staff still kind of there on standby, ready to come back when the time comes?
We had so much fun on the, not fun, but we had such a lovely time with level 3 with the outside terrace. I mean, we did every 2-hour slot, and the customers are like, it was great to see smiling faces. The weather was quite good. I've now learned about heaters and timers. We have all those now, and it was just lovely. People wanted to get out and support you, but we're very blessed to have that little small terrace. Anybody who hasn't got one, it's really horrible.
And I presume, I know when we spoke back in May, you had kind of gotten off the starting blocks very, very quickly in terms of doing takeaway. As you said, you only survived about a day or two at home, and then you have to get back into the kitchen.
2 days at home.
Into the restaurant.
I chose go back to work or divorce. My wife can't see this.
And now you're dealing with a very different landscape this time around. There's a lot more.
I think the biggest one is the uncertainty. Will we get open the 1st of December? You know, people are ringing me day and night and trying to book in all the slots for the Christmas period, and I don't know. You know, which is not unfair by the government. I did hear that they're going to talk to people in the industry next week. That's what I was told. So hopefully they give some clear path to say, yes, we'll go with the 1st or not. So people can at least get some revenue stream in for a month, which will help.
And briefly, in terms of Christmas then, what are your plans around trying to leverage Christmas? And I suppose, what are your contingency plans in case you don't get to open?
If we don't open, I mean, it's going to be absolutely a car crash for everybody. I mean, literally, we're bouncing along now. I mean, the takeaway is way down because we're all trying to do something now. The last time people weren't ready to get going, whereas everyone has to try and survive now. So it's not a viable business for all of us, for landlords or for tenants. So I'm very lucky. We have a long-term lease here with my landlord. He's been an absolute gentleman. We're working together to go through out the other side, but with just takeaway, there won't be another side. That's the reality.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you got any specific plans for the Christmas period in terms of the run of Christmas? Are you doing anything?
Yeah. We're basically doing a 2-hour slot 5 times a day. 12, 2:30, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 15, 16 seats. That's it. I mean, that's all we can do. But again, I'm lucky to have that. If they let us come indoors at 2 meters or 1 meter, those who are booked on the outside will get immediately the option to book indoors, and we reopen outdoors again. And that's, as I said, we're in limbo. We don't know. The government aren't giving us any direction because they don't know.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So we're heavily investing in our terrace, putting more glass areas, warm, because the winter's really coming. This week is going to drop down to -1 at night. So I need more doors, keep it really warm. So that might help.
Okay, well, Kevin, thank you so much for coming back to check in with us. Hopefully you're able to stay on the line and listen to everyone else. And if there's any questions aimed at you, we'll try and send them your way. But thanks a million for coming back. Okay, thanks, Kevin. So now we're going to go to Sligo to Johnny Conlon in Pudding Row.
Hello. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Johnny. How are you doing?
Good, yeah.
Good stuff. So it's fair to say quite a lot has happened for you since we last spoke.
Yeah.
And I know when we did speak, one of your kind of key things was you said that you were trying to develop a bulletproof model. You said that you were going to try and develop something that no matter what happened in terms of the restrictions and lockdowns, you would have something that you could keep going with. So you might remind us of what you were doing back in May and what has happened since, and have you managed to create that bulletproof model?
I think we have, yeah. Well, back in May, we were doing like click and collect for local customers, and we were sending boxes out, like comfort kits that we call them, and boxes with bagels and cakes kind of all over the country. We decided kind of around May or early in the summer that we weren't going to reopen the cafe this year. There was just too many kind of risks. Our kitchen's tiny. We've kind of real bottleneck coming in at the stairs, and then for half the tables, it just didn't seem like a safe option. So we actually switched our focus and we've opened up a shop in Eastquay called The Grocer, where we've been doing takeaway food, takeaway coffee, sandwiches, and then we have a whole range of Irish products to buy as well. So we've been doing, that's kind of been our main focus. The boxes, we kept doing them, but they slowed down a little bit as other places started to reopen. But we've seen a big surge in them again in the last month or so, and we're taking orders now for Christmas with those too. So yeah, big change to get the shop open, but it's definitely closer to bulletproof than reopening the cafe for us, because you know they were only open a month, 6 weeks maybe, and then it was gone to outside seating. We've no outside seating here. Where even when level 5 came in with the shop, we just carried on as we were doing. We didn't have to change anything.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And the shop, if I remember correctly, is something that you kind of had in mind for a while. It was something you were thinking about doing, and it was almost like was COVID-19 the push to
oh totally
go ahead
yeah
and do that?
We've been talking about it for about 2 years. We had a shelf space here. It's actually the shelf behind me where we had a few retail products, but we never had enough room to fit in the range of things that we wanted. So we'd always talked about this idea, but never really had the time to focus properly on it. So, you know, the crisis kind of gave us the push and the time to get it done.
Okay, and you're still delivering your comfort kits and your build your own box all over the country. And is it since we kind of went back to level 5 that has kind of taken off a bit again?
Yeah, it's gotten much busier, and we've launched a Christmas comfort kit as well with like mince pies and Christmas pudding and a few other bits, and we've gotten a lot of orders for them, and the vast majority of them are from one person to someone else. So I think no matter what happens with the lockdown, I don't think a lot of people are going to be traveling or coming home from England or everywhere else, or even visiting kind of extended family. You know, they might see more people than they're seeing now, but there's not going to be massive meetups over Christmas, I don't think, no matter what the restrictions are. So we're kind of trying to market it towards those people, you know, to send a bit of love to someone else who they can't get to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And is yours mainly just kind of one-off gifts from a friend or a family member to another, or is there a corporate element to it as well?
There's a little bit of a business side of it, but it is mostly like family members, or we get quite a lot of orders from, what I'm guessing by the names, I'm guessing they're Irish people who are in like Australia and America and Canada and places like that, who are sending them to people in Ireland.
And is it, like Kevin said, is it very much driven by Instagram and, you know, just social media? Is that how you're getting the word out there, or how are people finding out about you?
Off Facebook, Instagram, and through our own website and kind of word of mouth. But yeah, the social media has a huge part in it. And
Johnny, would you be putting a lot of paid promotion behind that, or is a lot of it organic?
No, it's all organic. We've tried paid like AdWords and things like that in the past, but we haven't done that in a long time. It's just organically grown. I don't know, we just seem to have a good following. We've been building it up for years anyway. It's not something you can kind of jump into without paying for it. But no, we get good traction on that now.
That's brilliant. And just a final question for you, I suppose, in terms of the shop, what has really been working well, and is it a case of people kind of coming in to do a bit of grocery shopping, or are they primarily kind of coming in for the coffee and the baked goods, and then maybe picking up a couple of things at the same time?
Yeah, it's more people coming in to kind of buy our stuff. We'd have fresh breads every day and bagels and donuts and things like that. So that kind of gets people in the door, and then they will buy some other bits usually when they're there. You wouldn't really do a grocery shop because it's kind of higher end, like, you know, cheeses and things like that. But yeah, it's definitely our own stuff that's kind of the draw for people, and then the other stuff is just kind of extras on top of that.
Yeah, and have you found that people really kind of are looking for ways that they can treat themselves? You know, they can't go out for dinner. There's lots of things they can't do, so they're like looking for their treats and things at the weekend.
Oh yeah, totally. There's a real comfort in food, and that's where people are getting it at the moment.
Brilliant, Johnny. Thank you so much for coming back to talk to us again. Sorry, it's so short. We could talk for a lot longer. Thanks a million. I'm going to go over to the 12 Hotel in Galway now for a check-in with Fergus, so holler in. And hopefully Fergus is still on the line. There we go. Hi, Fergus.
Hey, Ruth. How are you?
Good, thanks. Fergus, it's fair to say you've had quite a mix of offerings. You've really kind of innovated. Obviously, you got out there quickly in terms of doing your kind of drive-through takeaway, but also delivering your cocktail packs nationwide and doing your home spa packs. So very much leaning on the 12 Hotels offering and not just a food offering. But I suppose what are you still doing now, and what has happened over the past few months in terms of your offering? What have you been doing at the different stages?
Okay. Well, just to pick up on your point there, Ruth, I guess you mentioned the camaraderie and so forth that's within the industry. And if one was to take away any positive from what's been happening, it is that I think among colleagues we've become a lot stronger together. You know, I really, if anybody's going to take away something positive from this today, some wisdom or nuggets, you know, I hope there are many, but the one certain positive is that we've all started to work a lot closer together. You know, I've spoken to many restaurateurs now that, you know, I hadn't known before, and that's a really good thing. I guess for me, I love roller coasters, and this has been some roller coaster in the sense of, you know, from the first lockdown, you know, we were suddenly dropping down this massive precipice, and then you hit these troughs and up, and now it's going around and figures of 8. But we reopened our ground floor restaurant on June the 29th, and along with that, our al fresco dining area, which we developed during the lockdown, put a lot of work into it, and it's, you know, it became a really kind of a spectacular part of the 12. It's called Noon. You know, match noon is the Irish word for noon, as in 12. And that's been a huge success. It's heartbreaking to have to close it, but July the 8th, then after 1 week of getting the restaurant working downstairs and Noon working, we reopened the whole hotel. That meant the other restaurants, the spa rooms, and we went full throttle for 4 months. You know, out the door. It was fabulous. Goodwill from our guests, everything, reviews, everything was so positive. You know, we continued with our at-home offering all the time. It became a new revenue stream for us, and it will do forever, we hope. We entered into level 3, and you know, we had started off doing weddings for 50 people, and then we went to level 3. Now we're down to 25. Any guests staying with us in the hotel got to eat within our restaurants. Any guests from outside the hotel head outside on our al fresco terrace. You know, we immediately launched our come on over, stay over package, which kind of incorporated, you know, our cocktails, where guests were treated to cocktails from our brown bags in their rooms. We invested in popcorn machines, and it created a really nifty little package for people in Galway to come and stay. And it worked tremendously right from day one, you know, and it was done through social media, through our e-zine database. And, you know, it was all going great, but level 5 came, and here we are now. So we're back to our takeout, really pushing our cocktails. We've introduced a whole cocktail subscription, where you receive a mystery box every month, and that's worked very well. October sold out immediately, so we're into November now, and we hook up with different brand suppliers. So October was Powers, and we are with Bacardi now for November, and somebody big then to be announced for December. So the goal is to really push that, along with our whole Christmas team, which I can talk about later.
Great stuff. Yeah, thanks a million, Fergus. Great to check back in with you and hear how things are going. It's heartbreaking, of course, thinking of for everyone the time and creativity that went into creating the outdoor spaces and the packages for people in the county to stay, which was amazing value as well. And but great to hear that you guys are still fighting the good fight. We'll come back to you as we said at the end when we're talking about Christmas. So thanks a million. So now we're going to go to two new panelists for our webinar. Shawneen Sullivan from L Mulligan Grocer in Dublin and Kevin Aherne and Sage in Midleton. Hi Shawneen and Kevin, hopefully you can hear us on the line.
I can hear you, yes.
Hi, great stuff. Hi Shawneen.
I want to tempt my camera just in case.
Okay, fair enough. I was going to say, did you want to try your camera? But
I can try it, but
yeah, you can try it if you like, because you're joining on the phone. It should be okay, but if there's any issue, you can always turn it off again. So I'll start with you, Shawneen. Well, let's see if Kevin can magically appear for us. Briefly, will you? I mean, I think both Sage and L Mulligan are two businesses who I think anyone who's kind of on social media and following will have seen that you've kind of constantly and continuously adapted throughout this period, and you've kind of tried a number of different things. So I think there's a huge amount for other people to learn from what you guys have done. And I know that you're both very much want to kind of emphasize that you don't at all think that you have all the answers. We asked you to come here rather than the other way around, but I do think, that everyone can take away something from what other people have learned. So Shawneen, will you give us just briefly a picture of your journey since March, where I suppose what you've done, what you decided to do initially, and what you did over the summer and into level 3 and now in level 5?
Yeah, so we're based in Dublin. We're based on the north side of Dublin in Stoneybatter. We're a pub and restaurant that has a street frontage. So right outside our door is a bus lane and a cycle lane, and we're huge advocates of sustainable transport and all of that. So we were very much, when we closed back in March, we were sort of the view that as a street fronted premises, the best thing for us to do was to stay closed and really encourage people in our local community to stay at home, for our staff to stay at home and things like that. We did initially, and I know we'll probably talk a bit about it kind of at the end about the events, but we did do events. Whiskey, a big part of our business offering is events, and especially beer tastings and whiskey tastings, drink tastings. So we continued to, when we first closed on the 14th of March, we had a event scheduled for the following Friday. So we actually decided that what we were going to do was send those whiskies. It was a whiskey event. We were going to send those whiskies out in small bottles to the attendees and organize a Zoom call. And this is quite a novel thing, I remember the first conversation, like, oh, there's this thing called Zoom that you can use. It's kind of like Skype, and we're seeing surreal now because we're all so familiar with Zoom. But so we did that for the 30 people that had been scheduled to attend, and it was a huge success. And we had kind of thought it was a one and done thing, that it was something that we were doing because the brand Gelston's was already lined up. We had the whiskies in stock. People had already organized, had purchased their tickets and everything, but it became something that was a big part of our offering throughout the whole lockdown, because it was something that people were really interested in, and it gave people something to do over Friday. But we stayed closed right up until, we didn't do takeaway or anything like that. Right up until the end of May, when we could kind of see the reopening date for the pubs on the horizon. Initially, we had no plans to try to reopen as solely a restaurant, because our license wouldn't have allowed that. And of course, then when the guidance came out saying we could, we sort of made our decisions based on that. But we did ambient food, kind of charcuterie boards and cheese boards, cocktail kits, and craft beer growlers. So it's like a flask of beer that you fill from the draft, and it's good for about 2 or 3 days in the fridge. So they were very popular through to mid-July when we did reopen, when the pub reopening date the first time round was in flight, which obviously didn't end up coming to pass. So we opened as a restaurant with a maximum of 50 seats for right up until lockdown 3, or well, the Dublin specific, level 3, where we had to move to outdoor dining. And with 15 people, we have a beer garden. So we got hot water bottles. We had 60 blankets that people would use once, and then they would be sent to be laundered. And we had hot mulled cider on arrival, things like that. And I think, like, of all of the levels, I feel like we gave that one the best go. I feel like we had hit our stride, and people were really delighted to be out. And we were able to make it special. So we were able to still kind of offer a really warm welcome. I mean, I think when we first opened for the indoor dining, we were quite conscious of the additional safety precautions and steps that we were taking, and it was a lot more stilted, definitely, from our feeling, although that's not the feedback that we got from customers. But I think amongst our small team, we felt like, oh, this is a little bit more robotic, it's a bit harder to be as welcoming. With the outdoor dining, I feel like we relaxed into it a bit more, and we were definitely, while still being really conscious of all of the safety precautions and concerns, I think that we had kind of hit our stride then. So we had that for 3 weeks, and then level 5. So now we're operating solely as for takeaway food, and we also opened a grocer in the front of the pub, because the name of the pub is El Mulligan Grocer, referring back to the days of where there were spirit grocers in Dublin. And we're continuing to kind of do the cocktail kits and our whiskey and beer and gin online events. So it's kind of a few different things going on, and it's been that many incarnations that if you asked me what I was doing in the business at any particular date throughout this year, I don't know that I'd be able to tell you with accuracy without kind of going back and looking through the diary. So
wow, thank you so much, Ronnie. That's some journey. It's definitely a roller coaster, as Fergus said. So Kevin, if I can come to you now and talk to you about your journey as well.
I kind of wish I went first there now after listening to Seanine. Jesus, Seanine, you were busy. Holy hell.
You've been busy enough yourself as well, Kevin.
Oh gosh, yeah. That's great to hear other people's stories as well. I think that's kind of keeps you pushing as well, hearing everybody else what they're doing. And fair play, Seanine. It sounds great. Well done.
Thanks, Evan.
So Kevin, tell us what happened for you when everything hit in March, and what's the journey been since, if you can summarise it.
But in short, it's kind of the same as most. Like we closed on the whatever it was, 17th, or on the Saturday and 17th. We reopened doing the takeaway. The takeaway was, I suppose, the same as most people. The first lockdown was very busy at the start. We kind of found, obviously, we're in Midleton, like we're not in a town, or we are in a town, we're not in a city. We don't have a huge amount of kind of traffic passing us. We're kind of down a courtyard. So we had kind of a lot of people traveling to us. So we kind of started doing, as well as the takeaway, obviously the heat at home element kind of came in then, So we started doing the heat at home. That proved to be extremely popular for people traveling. So then, I suppose we had decided prior to lockdown, we were kind of re-evolving ourselves anyway. I was moving the restaurant away from fine dining, kind of had done its day on it. We kind of had a large space. We have a large space here. We had a cafe as well as having a restaurant, but the idea was to make it all kind of one restaurant. So we turned the cafe into a food store. So then the food store did all like the heat at home items. So then we started doing pre-meals, ready meals, condiments, salts, rubs, everything that kind of a way. And then that moved into, we didn't, like when lockdown came around, the second lockdown came around, obviously the traffic passing our door completely stopped. So then I put a program together of what we were selling, and basically started reselling it to other businesses so they could sell our item. Like places with food stores that don't have kitchens, give them a good markup on the product, so they obviously get good value out of it as well. And we've kind of evolved from there to that. that's what we're kind of doing now at the moment.
Yeah, so you've moved in the space of a few months from being the chef proprietor of a very, I would say, renowned and respected fine dining restaurant and a casual restaurant to a retailer and a wholesaler as well as a restaurateur.
Yeah, I suppose in short, I suppose that's just kind of the way it's kind of come around. But I suppose being the owner, it was a case of do what you have to do. Like obviously it's kind of different for everybody. Everybody's got to make their own decisions how they go about it. But we kind of felt it was a good direction for us to go. And it was a case of what can we do to survive? You know, like it might be. I suppose everybody kind of looks at people and thinks sometimes there's a feeling people look at other people and think, oh, we should be doing that as well. But look, we're doing what we're doing to get us over the line for the next 12 to 18 months. And it's not been an easy road over the last 6 months for anybody. And just because what it looks like on the outside, it might look as if it is, but it hasn't been.
Yeah, I can well imagine. Kevin, getting into kind of some of the nuts and bolts of it, and I'll maybe ask you a few questions on this and then go back to Seaneen. In terms of your takeaway model, I mean, you as you said, you started up takeaway quite quickly, and you've stuck with it throughout, and you're still doing it. So, how does your takeaway model work in terms of what do you offer broadly speaking, and what platform do you use, and what's the kind of customer journey, I suppose, and experience?
Good question. I suppose like we moved it really like we actually moved it into pretty much like a takeaway. We didn't do any like fancy boxes to take home or do it yourself at home. We pretty much set it up at the beginning as a general takeaway. Price point was a big thing. I don't really agree with the people keeping maybe the same price as the restaurants. What restaurants are charging, obviously we could drop our prices because it's take home food. It's still takeaway at the end of the day. But we basically kind of generally ran it as a takeaway, kind of like a fancy-ish takeaway. Obviously, not your run-of-the-mill takeaway that you'd be having in other places. But we kind of kept it as a takeaway model, kind of very simple. Not it didn't really.
And it's order on your website, click and collect.
Yeah, order on the website. Everything is done. Everything was moved online. Segments are every 15 minutes, so we take 3 tickets every 15 minutes. We start at 4 and finish at 9. It's been pretty straightforward. And then when we introduced the outside area, when that came back then after level 5, we closed down some of the slots. So we then had 4 tickets every 15 minutes. So there was 2 for takeaway and then 2 for outside. And obviously when you're only doing 15 people outside, it was pretty straightforward. It was 15 people every 75 minutes. So I suppose
so tell me a little bit more about that. Tell us a bit more about your setup outside.
If you start at 12 o'clock, and if you give 75 minutes for a sitting with 15 people and give them 15 minutes in between the seatings, you can maximize to 105 guests per day at a maximum. Obviously, like during the week, you're not going to do that. Well, maybe in the city and stuff you'll do it. But generally on a Friday, Saturday and Sunday to maximize, if you start at 12, do every 75 minutes, give them 15 minutes in between, you can get up to 105 customers, which really is not bad at all. If you add your takeaway onto it as well, it's quite considerable.
And Kevin, did giving people a 75-minute time slot, so first of all, did it impact on spend? And secondly, how manageable was it, or how well do customers respond?
I think the spend was, everyone would probably agree, was nearly up from what it used to be because people weren't out and they had probably hopefully like some people, not obviously everybody, but there was extra cash flow there and people hadn't been out to pubs or whatever, so they were spending that little bit extra. And there was a clear set out when they were booking, so their booking terms and conditions, everything was done online. So when they were sent their email confirmation emails, they got everything. They were told exactly how it was going to work. When they arrived, there was a very friendly card on their table, basically stating what had happened and what was going on. And we didn't want to embarrass anybody by asking them to leave their table. So please be courteous and just, follow the rules and leave your table when you're supposed to. And pretty much when it was set out like that, it pretty much went, there was no issues whatsoever. We didn't have any large groups either as well because there were only 15 people. So generally it was groups that you'd always have problems moving along anyway, but we had no groups, so it wasn't an issue.
Brilliant. And in terms of your retail business, I suppose moving into the space of you're doing prepared foods and selling them into other outlets as well as in your own shop now, and I suppose I assume that's been a steep learning curve. And what have been the big learnings in that process?
Yeah, I suppose like packaging and everything was a big learning curve. Sell by dates, all the hassle involved, and the setup from that was huge. Obviously at the very get go, getting everything up online, saleable online. Going in, like, I suppose going into sales is kind of different than being in the kitchen, obviously enough as well. But it's been enjoyable. It's good actually getting out and going to other food stores and meeting other people and selling your products. And I suppose, look, we've been kind of fortunate that we have a decent enough name in the area, and that the product then is a little bit, it's not your standard product, it's a little bit different than what you would get in certain supermarkets. So it's been a good saleable item. Like, we've gone in at a good price point. We haven't overpriced ourselves. I suppose having two kitchens as well having two kitchens is the very big beneficial thing for me, is that it doesn't, one kitchen does one thing and the other kitchen does the other thing. So one kitchen's there for production that used to be there for the cafe. So that's been very beneficial as well to us. But it's definitely a case of learning and keeping, every week has been a learning curve to see what's selling and what's not selling, changing dishes, moving dishes, keeping with seasonality, using the local producers that we were always using. I suppose that kind of makes it a little bit different as well than the style of food that we used to be doing. It's a different market.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yeah, I assume it has opened up to a different market. And I suppose, what kind of things are working best? What products have proved to be most popular?
Tough question. I suppose we kind of we have 14 meals now that we do, and generally that works from, that goes from like a hot pot to like a vegetarian kind of a dal to, and they all sell pretty well. Like even like we do like free range pork and like Jameson cream sauce and things like that. And I suppose once it's just a little bit different, that it's not the regular run in the mill, it seems to be working quite well.
Brilliant. That's super. Shawnee, if I can bring you back in now, and hopefully Kevin, you can stay there as well. So Shawnee, just I suppose on your side, in terms of how you work your takeaway briefly, like what direction did you decide to go in terms of what you would put on your menu and how that has worked, and also how you've actually rolled it out in terms of how people order and collect?
So yeah, originally when we first started back, it was very much, we felt that we had to start back because we knew we were reopening. We wanted to remind people we existed. So, but we wanted to keep the staffing levels very low, because at that time a lot of our part-timers were still on the full pandemic unemployment payment. So it made sense for us to try to do it ourselves. So myself and my business partner Colin did everything ourselves. We kind of I was in the kitchen prepping dishes, and then it would be scheduled via click and collect, and they would arrive and we would fill the craft beer growlers, bring down the food and things like that. And that was kind of very basic, sort of, okay, what can we do without absolutely burning ourselves out every single weekend. So we did that, and then
I think we're having some issues with sound there. I don't know if everyone's hearing. There's an echo. Oh, okay. That seems to be gone now. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So then when we reopened for in-house dining, we still kept with that sort of ambient and a little bit of heat at home sort of model. So we did a lot of kind of snack food. So if people were having like a socially responsible gathering, with 6 people, they could get, you know, black pudding wontons or chorizo bonbons or something like that, and kind of be able to entertain at home, because a lot of people were saying, you know, they wanted to support us, but they, you know, maybe didn't feel comfortable coming back in and dining in-house and things like that, and that's completely understandable as well. So but then when we went into level 3 point something in Dublin, you know, when we were told we could only do outdoor dining, we were kind of put in a position where our takeaway we were told at 6 o'clock on a Friday that from midnight it was going to be outdoor dining for 15 people only at any one time. And so our takeaway menu that week kind of was just evolved out of what we had on our a la carte menu. But then over the coming weeks, we kind of saw that things that people really enjoyed were things that were treats, or things that they wouldn't necessarily prepare themselves at home. I think, you know, we work with a lot of, like Kevin, we work with a lot of local suppliers. We were finding that people had a real appetite for buying cheese that they couldn't get in a supermarket, or Sunday roasts are very big for us. We used to do one Sunday roast, and we'd do 20, and when it sold out, it sold out. Between 20 and 30, kind of, you know, when it sold out, it sold out. Whereas now we're doing 2 different Sunday roasts and a vegan roast every week, and we're selling out consistently kind of early on in the day. So I think a lot of the things that people are looking for from us anyway is things that, you know, are a treat. So we also do like a version of a full Irish breakfast on a Sunday, which is we call it the full mulligan, and it's like with a Scotch egg and like black pudding, you know, Armagh shiitakes and things like that. So it's kind of, it is, you know, your full Irish, but it's maybe you know, just something a little bit different to what you would get, you know, anywhere else in the area. And we deliver on Sundays. That's the other thing, you know, like I think it's really important to know your market. And I think you know, we kind of know that maybe in our area, in our immediate vicinity, people might be looking for, they might be feeling a bit peaky on a Sunday, and they might want somebody to bring them their breakfast to their door. So, you know, maybe with a Bloody Mary or something like that. So, and the way we kind of, we have click and collect, like Kevin, we have 3 tickets every 15 minutes. But we also have a call, like you can dial in and speak to somebody and place your order, because again, like sometimes people with, you know, food allergies or, you know, particular dietary requirements and things like that, they might want that reassurance. And it also is really nice to keep that connection with our customers. The click and collect through the click and collection website is brilliant, but it can be a little impersonal. So it's sometimes really nice when people ring and they say, oh, this is what I'm looking for, or, you know, I want to do something special, or I want to treat someone else. I know a few other people were talking about how people seem to be buying things a lot for other people as a treat. We've had that a few times, and people do like to be able to call and, you know, schedule their takeaway with someone on the phone. So that's kind of nice as well, to keep that connection with our customers.
That's super, Shawnee. Thanks a million. And like speaking of that, I know when we spoke previously. First of all, I just want to remind people that if they do have any questions, if they want to put them into the Q&A box or the question box, we'll come to them at the end. I'm conscious of time. There's a lot more that I would like to talk to Shawnee and Kevin about that I probably won't get to, but we're going to move on to the next section shortly. But speaking about that kind of connection with your customers, even them being able to phone, I know when we spoke, one of the things that you said that really struck me was, you know, that you're in the business of hospitality. You're not in the business of putting food in a box. And I suppose, so there's been like, as well as the journey that you have gone on of pivoting your business and constantly adapting, there's a real psychological journey there as well, isn't there?
100%. And like, I honestly, just to echo what Fergus said about how my colleagues in the industry have been absolutely amazing at sharing like incredibly hard-won wisdom and advice, including Kevin, like, who was, you know, I messaged him a few times, and you know, really everybody has been so forthcoming with the lessons they've learned and what's worked for them. And of course, everybody has to chart their own course, but it's something incredibly uplifting to be able to pick up the phone to somebody and say, listen, I'm struggling with this little thing that's like, we can't seem to get this right. How did you approach this? And you know, so many people have been so generous with their knowledge, and kind of, I think that's been, I think for all of us, we kind of have to accept that realizing what we're doing now is not necessarily, you know, we're not going to be able to just immediately reach back and grab back the business that we had before all of this happened, and that sometimes like letting go of that is quite a difficult thing. You know, the idea of, oh no, this is the kind of thing that we do and this is the kind of food that we do. And that for me was huge, because initially I was like, well, you know, like surely we can't open doing that, like people wouldn't want that from us. You know, that's not what they come to us for. But then what you realize is, as Kevin said, people do want their favorite restaurants to survive. They do want their favorite pubs to survive. And so one of the things that we just started doing, I guess, a few weeks ago was we were doing hot drinks takeaway. So we're incredibly close to the Phoenix Park. So we have our little grocer menu where people can come and get like a prawn po' boy or something, and it's kind of designed to eat in hand. But we also started to do like boozy hot chocolates, the mulled ciders, Irish coffees to take away. And the absolute delight that people have when you bring down, like, you know, a really, like, it's very simple, it's just a takeaway cup, but we try to use like really pretty garnishes. I call them Instagram sprinkles. You know, we'd use like cocoa nibs on the top of the hot chocolate, or rose petals on top of the mulled cider. It's just the delight that people have when you bring that down. And we have these little warm cookies that we give people. And of everything we've done throughout all of this, all of the effort that, you know, we put in, giving somebody a biscuit to eat with their coffee, it's just something that's like really, it's a moment of joy that you're able to give people in what has been, you know, a very difficult time for everybody. And I think that's been really refreshing for us to see the reaction to people for like the hospitality that we're able to still show. We can't do it the way we used to. We can't have people on site. We can't, you know, we can't bring them down, you know, a taste of something, or like a glass of wine or an aperitif when they arrive. But what we can do is provide like a moment of joy and a moment of levity in a day. So I think that that is something psychologically that kind of, you know, it took a while for me to realize, okay, I don't have to just do what we did before in order to be able to still, you know, provide the same kind of experience for people.
Thank you so much, Shani, and I really love that about, you know, trying to bring that moment of joy and continue to find ways of offering hospitality, and I guess that's kind of really distills it down into like what people can think about doing. You know, it's like, how can they bring that moment of joy to people, and hopefully that continues to motivate them as well, because naturally most people in hospitality are there because they want to bring that joy to people. So speaking of bringing joy, let's move on to talking about Christmas, and I'm definitely kind of running over time in terms of what we talked about so far. So I want to move on to Christmas, and we may go slightly over time at the end just to get in a bit of the Q&A. But I'm going to go now to Clement Pavy, Development Chef with Musgrave MarketPlace, and Michael Finn, who's an area manager with Musgrave MarketPlace, and they're going to give us a brief presentation on some of the opportunities around Christmas. So thank you, Clement and Michael.
Hi Ruth, hi everyone. Yeah, I'm Clement from Musgrave there. So working and talking with our customers, and as we've heard as well from the panelists right now, the biggest challenge obviously is the uncertainty on how we're going to be serving our customers for the month of November, but also for the Christmas season. So as you're planning your menu there, you know, most of us are thinking about how we're going to be able to serve it maybe as a sit-down offer, but also as a takeaway or delivered offer. So talking and working with the customers, listening to the customers, we came up with a calendar of opportunities and events that we feel you could maybe work and design your menu around, and your food offer around. So I'm going to pass you on to Michael Flynn there from Galway region.
Thanks, Clement. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Michael. As you've heard from previous speakers, the ability to change and the ability to be flexible is a key component to date. We're hearing this from our customers and colleagues alike. And with this in mind, we put together a calendar of events which we believe captures some of these opportunities. First event we look at is based around Black Friday and Cyber Monday. For this event, we know there will still be restrictions of level 5, where this will have to be a dine-at-home offering or a takeaway solution. So this event, why not think about a party box, nice treats, and maybe pair this up with a nice bottle of Prosecco or maybe a cocktail to accompany this. If we look at the opportunity to maybe add a cocktail, selling this in the region of €5 to your customer at a cost of $135 to reduce, this generate cash profit to you at $270, helping your overall revenue. As we go further through this and we think about people wanting to still enjoy the experience of good food, an opportunity may be around an afternoon tea solution. And again, take this opportunity to add one of your bespoke dishes or some of your own branding to this as you present this party to your customer. The next event we look at and think about is probably the most difficult, and that's around Christmas parties. We're unsure what restrictions will be in place. We know the large Christmas parties that has been traditional will not be taking place. So how can we maximize this opportunity? So with this in mind, we're thinking about the opportunity maybe of a virtual Christmas party where people can get together and the businesses can present a party box at home. And again, look at the opportunity of theming this, maybe with some crackers or some napkins, maybe a nice centerpiece for the tables. And take the opportunity to pair this with some wines. As we go in further along and we look at Christmas and Christmas Day, a pre-prepared option here where the customer can take this and finish this at home, taking all the trimmings, add in a starter, dessert, some nice treats, and again maybe a mulled wine option or maybe a fruit punch for the younger members of the people that will be enjoying Christmas. Looking at all those events and opportunities for you and your business. Post-Christmas, people will still want to relax and take time to themselves. The opportunity here may be around offering a frozen product at home that your customer can take and use over the coming days, or maybe a pre-vacuum packed option where they can take this and finish it at home. Same Christmas solution that we've looked at can be offered again around New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, but the opportunity here may be around adding maybe a gin experience or a nice whiskey tasting to accompany those meals with it. We talk about all the different opportunities at the days between Christmas and New Year. And as we work with our customers, we help them through some of these solutions and some of these challenges. If you need help, or need to contact us, we'll send out the calendar events afterwards and feel free to contact us. I'll pass you back over to Clement now, where he'll take you through one of those options where he'll bring to life a party food offering as a sit-down option or a takeaway. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. So hi again, everyone. So just a few things you can think about when you plan and design your menu. So keep 2 popular dishes and ingredients. Use your signature dish and pick your customer's favorite as a lead for your menu. This is obviously the festive season, so offer the classics, but bring a little bit of a twist to it and make it your own. Don't forget about our vegetarians and vegan friends. It's definitely going to be in demand this season, but going forward as well. Make it easy and quick to prepare, both for your team, but also for your stock management. And of course, do your maths. Offer, make sure your menu is bringing you the best GP you can. So keeping all those in mind, I've just put a few things together. I've put that party platter together there, and here I've just picked some classics there. We've got the samosas and the vegetarian spring rolls. We've got some falafels with a bit of pomegranate, and it's about the accompaniment as well. I've used coconut cream to make a raita sauce, and just the soy sauce. I'm just adding a little bit of red wine vinegar and some fresh garlic to make it a bit more authentic. So that's that's for your classics, that's for your vegan and vegetarian friends. But also, you don't know, the parties could be sit down, could be a group of 6, it could be also a group of 15 people standing up with a pint outside in a heated beer garden. So another thing is when you think of classics and classics with a twist, you've got the mini bangers and mash and the mini fish and chips, very, very easy to just pick up and, you know, and have one, you know, with a pint. And also when I talk about your classics, you know, here, just revisited kind of a bit of a Christmas dinner, but a Christmas dinner just in a 2-bite portion there, you know, with a turkey and a ham in a potato steam there, and some mini Yorkshire pudding with some roast Irish beef. But obviously, all that, you know, you need to be able also to deliver in a takeaway format, because packaging has come has come a long way over the last few years, but over the last few months, it's been a big demand. So I've just done the exact same option, but in a takeaway box. And you know, packaging is also another way of bringing your food to life. So it's exactly the same version in a different way of presenting it. And as a party platter, that could be something that, you know, your customers could really enjoy. So thank you for listening. I'll put you on back to Ruth now.
Thank you so much, Clement. That's super. And we have reached the time when we're due to finish. But I am conscious of wanting to try and come back to the panel discussion. Unfortunately, ran over time earlier in the session. So I'm conscious that some people may need to leave, which is absolutely fine. But if some people are interested in hanging on for another few minutes, we might answer some questions from the audience and talk a little bit more about plans around Christmas. So I'd like to ask Seaneen and Kevin Aherne back, as well as Fergus and Clement. And if Johnny is still with us, there's a couple of questions that I might direct quickly at Johnny if he's still available. So have Johnny. Oh, yeah, thanks, Johnny. I'll tell you why I asked you to come back. So we've a couple of questions about software. People asking, one person asking what software people are using for click and collect, or what's the best offer for an online shop. And then the second question that I thought I'd just like to put your way is someone, an audience member said, not all of us are, oh, sugar, I've just moved the screen now and can't find it. Anyway, it was basically to say that not everyone is based in towns and cities, and if any of the panelists have any suggestions for businesses that are in countryside locations where there's no longer any passing trade, essentially. So I thought it might be relevant to ask you those questions.
Yeah, well, if you're out in the country, like we're in a very rural location. There's population of like about 1,000 people within 20 miles of us. It's not very much. So the main thing is to just come up with something that you can send out to people, something you can send either through the post office or with UPS. And what we had been doing, we've been sending, or we still are sending boxes with like fresh bagels and things in it, but we're trying to kind of divert those orders for Christmas to things like Christmas puddings, which have a much longer shelf life, because the delivery times are just going to go out the window the closer it gets to Christmas. They're already strained, you can see it. Where most deliveries would be kind of 24 hours, now it's 48 hours, and that's just going to get longer. So if you're sending fresh products, it's just a big risk to take. So try and come up with something that will survive the journey, or go like do your own deliveries yourself. We do deliveries to Sligo town once a week, and to Ballina a different day every week, because we're kind of in the middle of the two. So we just gather up orders all week, and then I spend a day just out dropping boxes to people.
Brilliant, Johnny. Thanks for that. I thought it would be relevant to come to you since you're very rurally located. And also, I know you set up your website yourself, and you have you have an IT background, but just in terms of maybe your advice on simple software for an online shop.
Yeah, well, ours is it's a WordPress website, and then there's like loads of free plugins you get for that, or there's a few that we've had to buy to kind of do specific things that we needed. But there's loads of options. I think Shopify is probably slightly easier for people who don't have much of a background doing web stuff. Like I find it a bit easier to use WordPress, and you can maybe tweak it a bit more. But Shopify, for something just out of the box, set it up, get your products up there, I think that's probably a good option for people.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Johnny. And then I might come to someone else has asked about what software people are using for click and collect. So Kevin, are you still with us? Are you back with us? Yeah. So what software are you using for your click and collect system?
It was Table Pass in the name of the company.
Yeah. Okay. Super. And Clement, I know that Musgrave set up a platform and we're offering it free to their customers. So can you maybe give us the information on that?
Yes, of course. So it's a click and collect. Sorry, it's a platform that was launched just at the back of May, and I just can't find the name in my head now. You just put me on the spot. Sorry about that.
Okay, I have it somewhere. We'll come back to that at the end because.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. We'll come back to it. I took you by surprise with that question. So I want to move on to briefly talking about yes.
Ruth, one thing on the software thing is like we're using click and collection, but like with Shopify and with Volution and all of those, like the local enterprise offices are still doing the trading online grant. So if you get onto your local enterprise office, you can get a grant to help defray some of the costs of trading online. So whether that's the subscription charges for these services or photography or those kind of the digital tools that are needed. So yeah, the Leos have additional grants available for COVID specific pivoting to online. So it's worth checking out.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. You're right, and I know that they increased the funding to 90%, so you only have to have 10% matched funding, and I believe they've opened that up again now with the level 5 restrictions. So definitely worth going for that if you haven't already gotten your website set up, or if you need to put more funding into, as you said, maybe pushing it out a bit more, because I think you can cover digital marketing with it as well. So there's a couple more questions from the audience, but which I'll try and come to. Just to kind of speak about the run up to Christmas, and although we can't see Kevin on our screens, I might go to Kevin first and then hopefully come around to the others. So Kevin, do you have some specific plans in terms of Christmas?
Yeah, so just 2 items, I suppose. So like we're doing obviously the hampers are going to be a big thing for everybody this year. In fairness, I think you've seen the last couple of days the Irish Food Champions pushing on that, for the Green Friday. I think that was just an absolutely fantastic idea. Fair play to them coming up with that one. But we're going to do a collect your own Christmas dinner as well on the 23rd and the 24th. So basically, obviously, people aren't going to be traveling. Well, we don't know whether people are going to be able to travel to other houses for Christmas this year. So some people who are kind of used to going to other people's houses, who aren't used to cooking, we're going to basically do a full item Christmas dinner now. I'm actually doing it today, so you have it up online from now. So basically, you want to click and collect your items that you want for your Christmas dinner. You come and collect it on the 23rd or the 24th, and basically then it'll just be a reheat at home with no stress or anything involved in it. It won't be a put it together, it'll just be a reheat. But basically there'll be kind of like a menu that you choose from what you want for your own Christmas dinner, and we put it together for you and you collect it.
Fantastic. Shawneen, have you any specific plans for the run up to Christmas or maybe over the Christmas period?
Yeah, so we a bit similar to Kevin, we're looking at kind of ramping up our heat at home options, making them a bit fancier, a bit more festive. But I think additionally, like we're focusing on a lot of the days around Christmas. So like we've got like a kit for pork bats on Christmas Eve, and we have a product in works where it's like a roll of cookie dough where you slice it and then you and then you bake it in the oven yourself, so it's already pre-prepared and things to leave biscuits out for Santa. We've got our cocktail hampers, and also then we do a lot of food and drink pairing, so we have a few bespoke ones featuring kind of a lot of Irish produce, and then our kind of other part that we've just put in place this week, and that hopefully we're going to be able to go live with before Friday, is the idea of connecting our producers to our customers. So where we would normally take, you know, dozens and dozens of turkeys off David up in Termonfeck, and, you know, instead of being able to be a conduit for that, for people to buy their turkey and things like that via us, and same with our produce. You know, a lot of the farmers that we would use only sell to restaurants, but of course they're pivoting themselves, but there's more kind of Brussels sprouts in the field than one person could possibly ever deliver. So so that's kind of another aspect to it, because I think a lot of the green veg and things like that, while the cheeses and everything are things that people want to buy, a lot of having that produce there really gives people a sense of that this is somewhere they can come to pick up some nice bits and pieces. You know, it's a visual cue. So yeah, so we've got a couple of streams in work for Christmas, and like, we're operating on the assumption that we will not be able to serve people indoors. You know, we're taking our bookings, but, you know, with a big fat caveat. So and as a pub, I don't see us opening as, you know, like you know, serving pies across the counter anytime, you know, like maybe next St. Patrick's Day. So we're kind of, you know, the alcohol side of it, and that's really important, I guess, because we're a pub. We're always very conscious of that, and because we do a lot of craft beer and we do a lot of whiskey, we're very conscious of that. But people like to get something special that they're not able to buy in Tesco, you know, and that extends to drinks as well. So I think, you know, a lot of panelists have done great jobs of putting their drink offering together, but sometimes it's kind of a forgotten thing with takeaway, and you know, it's definitely worth presenting some options nicely for your customers.
Brilliant, thanks, Shawneen. And I love that idea as well, that you know, restaurants and the hospitality sector can, I suppose, provide, as well as continuing to source as much as possible from their Irish suppliers, can also provide a route to market to consumers for their suppliers. And I know a lot of people did that in the last lockdown, in terms of, like yourselves, kind of offering some grocery section. And I know a lot of people, one of their big motivations for trying to stay open and operating was to continue to support their suppliers. And Fergus, I know that's something that you said last time round, that, you know, a big motivation for you was to continue to buy from your really precious suppliers that you work with. So I suppose, as a hotel, what do you think? I mean, again, we really don't know what's going to happen in December, but have you got have you got a plan A and plan B for December? What are you thinking for the run up to Christmas and the Christmas period?
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, this pandemic, it's changed everybody's way of dining, drinking, entertainment, you know, and that's going to remain, you know, due to government constraints, our own kind of sense of what is well-being. So, you know, looking to the future, you know, I'm looking to the end of next year. It's not just Christmas. So Christmas is just a stopgap. It's next month. So yeah, we've planned a lot for Christmas. We started working on it maybe a month ago. One thing we've always done on Christmas was our Christmas takeout dinner from our bakery shop. So every Christmas Eve, people would pick up the guts of 120 orders. That's 100 Christmas dinners for 2 people. So that's 140 guests served, or sorry, 240 guests served on a Christmas Eve. What we had said was that we were going to extend that to the whole month of December, and target the corporate market, because we won't be doing Christmas or private Christmas dinners in our function room this year. They're gone. So we'll tackle all of the guests who have booked previous corporate Christmas parties with us. In that, they'll receive their Christmas box, hopefully, along with a cocktail box. I'll show you the cocktail box, what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh wow.
So essentially, it's a few drams and basically everything we make ourselves, and the brown bag cocktail, which has really worked well for us. Very simple. I mean, there's that. We'll be doing Christmas hampers, featuring all of our local suppliers. The the sauces, relishes that we make in-house, our own mulled wine, brown bag cocktails, spa products. So really a kind of the 12 at home experience. We have a whole list, take and bake pizza kits, which have worked very well for us during the last lockdown. The Christmas dinner box, and what have I got written there? Oh yeah, curated wine cases. Because I mean, we have a massive cellar of wine, and I need to be shifting it, and we do get a lot of calls from guests who want particular wines. So we figured, okay, well, let's actually create a really kind of a deluxe pack of wine that we can send out to people. So
yeah, and I think it's important people don't forget about the opportunity, as Shawnee said, or alcohol sales, and I know Kevin Aherne as well had talked about putting matching bottles of wine with their cook at home kits.
Absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Fergus. Sounds like you've got a lot planned. I'm really conscious that I've gone way over time, and I really appreciate that almost everybody has stuck with us. There's so much more that we could talk about, and I'm afraid probably I talked a little bit too much at length in some areas, but we tried to cover a lot in a short space of time. There is a question that has come in that I do want to come to, because I think it's an important one, especially in the context of Chef Network and the work that we've done around this. Tracy Daly has said, thank you for your terrific insights to all the panelists, but saying that everything that you've done to adapt takes a huge amount of energy, and she's curious about what all of you do to switch off and unwind and mind yourself. So Kevin Aherne, you might come in on that one first. Do we have Kevin? No, I don't know.
Kevin's really dropped off.
Good timing. Okay, Shawnee, and I'll come to you on that.
Got off and join us.
Is Kevin back? I think he is.
Yeah, I don't hear him. Kevin, are you there? No, I'll go to you, Shawnee.
Sorry, what was the question? How do you
take care of yourself basically, and wind and switch off from it all?
Well, I mean, we made the decision early on to limit the number of days, because we wanted really to keep our team small, but also we wanted to, because we knew that we had to be there. So we knew that we had to be doing these things. And so, like, you know, Monday, Tuesday are spent packing and shipping, and then Wednesday is kind of our day off, and then Thursday we're sort of soft prep. Like right now, like I'll be honest, I don't think I'm doing a good job of that part at all. Like, so I don't feel like, and I think Ruth, when you asked me to be on this, you know, panel, I was kind of like, Jesus, I don't have any insights. Like, you know, I've a huge amount of imposter syndrome about, you know, everything that everybody's doing to try to, you know, keep going. But I definitely think from the perspective of right now, because I'm in Dublin and we went from level 3 into, like, we were supposed to be coming out of level 3 last Wednesday, and when we went into level 5, that overlap, I just think right now it's firefighting, and eventually, you know, like, you know, once this is all past, I'll go somewhere and have a pint and, you know, a nice big cry, and then that'll be. But you know, I do think that that's something that we need to be talking about more. But I just think, you know, certainly for me, like I go running in the Phoenix Park. I try to take time away from social media. I have timers on my phone. Just to limit the amount of time I can be on social media, because the endless scrolling and comparing yourselves to others can be a bit exhausting. And I think other panelists mentioned that as well, that idea of, oh, I'm looking at what other people are doing and thinking I should be doing that. So yeah, that's it really. Like, you know, trying to do as much exercise as possible, trying to take time away from social media, and turning off my email every now and then. But other than that, like, I'm really interested in everyone else's answers.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you for that. I think that we've lost our connection with Kevin Aherne, have we? Yeah. Okay. So look, I think that it's a good place to wrap up. Clement, do we still have you there? No, I think we've lost. have we lost it? Okay, you're there. So can I just check? I think the platform that Musgrave are offering is it takeout by Musgrave MarketPlace.ie? Is that the?
Yeah, it's called takeout by Musgrave, and if you go on takeout by Musgrave MarketPlace.ie, you'll find all the informations. And at the moment there is a 3-month free registration for customers. So you know, it's a good way. It's a good way getting into it. Yes.
Super. Okay, so that's definitely worth checking out. So my apologies for going so far over time. I'm delighted to see that people stayed with us. Please do let us know if there's something that you'd like us to, I suppose, other topics you'd like us to address in these webinars, or something that you'd like to go more in depth on. You can put comments into the chat now if you would like to do that, or you can always email us. But immediate response is always a good thing to do, because it's hard to come back to these things. So please feel free to add your comments into the chat. I want to say huge thank you to all of our panelists, and I really sincerely thank them for giving up their time, but also sharing their experiences so frankly. Thank you to our Chef Network partners, Musgrave MarketPlace, for their continued support, and they really are a fantastic and supportive partner of Chef Network. And thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate your time. We know how hard it is to get the time out for these things, and we really do hope it's been beneficial. Thanks to Rebecca for the tech support in the background, and everyone who's helped out in setting this up. As I said, we will send out a recording of this webinar to any chefs who are tuned in. If you're not already signed up to Chef Network, you can do so for free at chefnetwork.ie. And if you're not a chef, but you'd like to stay abreast of what Chef Network is doing, you can sign up for our mailing list. So again, if you go to chefnetwork.ie, you'll see a link to sign up to our mailing list. Thank you all again, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.